Good morning. Welcome to JP's morning brief for April 8th. If I am live, I think I am. All right. Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said, I'm trying to determine if I'm live or not. Yes, I am. Okay, good. All right. Whew. I tell you, technology sometimes. And think that I was in communications and army. Cool. All right. Well, hey, welcome this morning. Uh, eventful evening, as we all know, but we're all still standing. No civilizations have been wiped off the earth uh, due to all the things, all those naysayers out there, right? Uh, but yeah, welcome to the morning brief with for the JPA report. Um, and then as we get started, as we start rolling, ramping up with everybody getting involved in the podcast this morning. Thanks to Bend It in Half for showing up this morning. Uh, that's his alter ego. He's Cove for life also. But good morning, Richard. Um, and then yeah, click that follow button to follow the podcast. Um, please do so. And then click that like button for the show itself today, and help out with the podcast, with the chat, live chat. Get involved in there, help us out. Um, he'll definitely talk to you, and I will if I can, or I'll type back, or he has to type also. But and then oh, I got a question. So tell me, the what is it? Today's Wednesday. So Monday afternoon, uh, there was a uh, there was a news brief, and the president was in, and I simulcast that through my Rumble account. I want to ask for the people that are watching this morning. Y'all tell me, and we'll make a decision toward the end of the podcast this morning. But at the 7 o'clock hour, which is 28 minutes from now, the Pentagon is going to give a brief. Do y'all want me to put that on the monitor behind me, and we can listen to it while it's going on for a little bit? I mean, it'll take us past a half hour, but this will be the first Pentagon briefing since the ceasefire went into effect. Um, so let me know in the chat if y'all would like me to broadcast that for a little bit, so we can see hands down. Because the way a lot of the news goes, whether it be Fox, Newsmax, M Snow, or I'm sorry, MS Now, or CNN, uh, they they show you the news and then poof, you never hear from it again. But if I put it on film and record it, my podcast, you go back 5 years and see all my podcasts still here, all the way from episode one. All right, from that was January 1st of 2021. But it's been a long time. But if I put it on here, it's still going to stay. And if you ever want to see, what did Secretary Hexef say? What did General Kane say? Or if the president is there, what did the president say? So let me know if you want at 7 o'clock, 8 a.m. Eastern, if y'all want me to put the Pentagon brief on the monitor behind me so we can watch it for a little while. So a little bit of historical context there. All right. So let's go do this with the morning brief. So America 250 on this day, 1776, Boston held a funeral for Dr. Joseph Warren, who died at Bunker Hill um, back before the siege started. So yes, but turn up the volume. I heard that recommendation, Richard, from a retired Rob 53, which we know is a friend of ours. And yes, I will definitely do that. He hit me over the head with that when I did it. Okay, so Yeah, so Dr. Joseph Warren, he died at Bunker Hill, and they buried him, but they exhumed him and moved him into Boston to give him a proper burial because that's where he's from. So Dr. Warren was buried this day, and he's considered one of the leading people in Boston when Bunker Hill started. All right, so and then Dalmatian. No other comments. On Dalmatian. I'm going to stop talking about them until they come back live and in action, making those good old smash burgers. And I'm working with the armament shop here in Coppers Cove to start doing some advertising for them too. So that's the first time I actually mentioned them, but I'm just waiting for a script so I can start talking about them. All right, Iran update. Iran update, Operation Epic Fury, with an hour and a half left before the end of civilization. Iran agrees to a 2 week ceasefire, and then the president accepted it. Uh, so, one of the demands that are not going to be met at all is, well, most of them aren't even. They gave a 10-point ceasefire proposal to the president compared to our 15-point ceasefire proposal. But one of them in there is Iran demands the U.S. accepts the uranium enrichment program from Iran, which means we're going to legitimize them enriching uranium. That's a non starter. That is, your bridges are about to get blown type environment. All right. Uh, Diplomatic talk is supposed to happen in live fashion on Friday in Pakistan in Islamabad. Uh, there's definitely reports coming out of Muqtada Al Khamenei cannot even lead because he's not coherent, can't talk, he's unconscious, um, coma. He's waiting for that time where he can look for his 72 virgins and not find them. Uh, the U.S., before the ceasefire went into effect, destroyed Iran's heavy boat construction facility. Um, after the after the ceasefire went into effect, missile fire continued to rain down on with dozens of missiles flying into Gulf countries. That'd be United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, and Oman, um, and including there was a cluster missile fired at Israel. The ceasefire, according to the Israeli Defense Forces, the ceasefire does not include Hezbollah. Uh, and then on a great matter right here, oil. Oil, you would not believe this. Okay, Brent crude oil is right now at $93.75 a barrel. Yesterday, at this time yesterday, it was trading at $110 a barrel. That's almost $20 less this morning than it was yesterday. But wait, there's more. Richard, I hope you're listening because when y'all need gas in a few days, I would wait a few days and you're going to get cheap gas. So this morning, West Texas Intermediate is trading at $71.62 a barrel. I refreshed this several times to make sure that it was right. Okay, 71.62. Yesterday at this time in the morning, it was trading at $114.51 a barrel. You're talking the price of oil dropped 30, 40, almost $45 a barrel for West Texas Intermediate. And if y'all don't know about West Texas Intermediate, that is what we use for making gas here in Texas. That's the easiest refined oil in the nation, and that's what we use to make gasoline. $45. We're paying what, close to $4 a gallon of gas right now. I would say in about 4 or 5 days max, the price of gas is going to plummet to about, I would say, about $2.50 a gallon. Watch, flag it, as Dan Bongino says. Okay, about by what's today, Wednesday. By Monday morning, if the ceasefire is still in effect, by Monday morning, gas should be about $2.50 a gallon. Will the greed lower also? Will the greed lower also? If not, won't matter. Yeah, right. That's true. The chatter, which has been in half, said if the greedy oil because oil is a commodity, it's traded in an open exchange. So if these guys like, I'm going to keep buying and make it go higher, make it go, you know what? He's exactly right. Unless they tamper down on the greed on Wall Street in Chicago on the Mercantile Exchange where they trade this stuff at, it won't matter at all. The prices won't go down. These guys have to allow it to drift down to where it was before the war started, right? You're absolutely right, Richard. Positively, absolutely correct. That is but remember, I'm saying ceasefire is still there. My prediction Monday morning, gas in Central Texas will be back down to about $2.50 a gallon. If I'm wrong, hey Richard, if I'm wrong, and you show up at the Four Seas on Tuesday, I will buy your dinner. Okay, within reason. Okay, I'll buy a French fry. No, I'll buy your dinner at Giovanni's if gas is not down to $2.50 a gallon by Monday morning when we go on air. All right, so mark that one. Remember that. All right, so what are we doing? We're at 6:42. We're still getting started. All right. So let's see. We got all that done right there. Now we're into the meat of the deal. Okay. So last night, while I was at a city council meeting, we're waiting and waiting and waiting. We're waiting for civilization to end. So at 5:30 in the evening, my time, this comes out. A big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Likewise, so has everyone else. The United States of America will be helping with the traffic buildup in the Strait of Hormuz. There will be lots of positive action, big money to be made. Uh, Iran can start the reconstruction process. We'll be loading up with supplies of all kinds and just hanging around in order to make sure that everything goes well. I feel confident that it will, just like we're experiencing in the U.S. This could be the golden age of the Middle East. President Donald J. Trump, considering that that it could have, it could have been a whole different world, like everybody was predicting. Chicken Little saying the end of civilization as we know it has come to bear. Right? Yeah, it didn't. We're still here. It's 6:44 in the morning Central Time, and we are talking on Rumble. The walls didn't fall down. The ceiling is still above me. We still rule the seas in the Persian Gulf, and Khomeini may be looking for some virgins. I don't know. But that's for another time. All right. So, according to the ceasefire, it says here, I know I'm hilarious sometimes. So President Donald Trump on Tuesday announced, based on conversations with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir, he will delay the bombing and attack of Iran for 2 weeks. Trump said the decision came after the leaders requested that the U.S. hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran which the president previously threatened to start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time if a deal was not reached. The president said the postponement is subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran seeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. This will be a double-sided ceasefire, Trump wrote on Truth Social. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded our military objectives and are far along with the definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. And he added, the administration received a 10-point proposal from Iran, and officials believe is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all the various points of past contention have been agreed on by the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated, Trump wrote. On behalf of the United States of America as president and also representing countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have a long-term problem close to a resolution. Okay, and then I'll read this one final paragraph. The Supreme National Security Council of the Islamic Republic of Iran responded in a statement thanking Sharif and Munir for their tireless efforts to end the war in the region and agreeing to a ceasefire and defensive operations if attacks against Iran are halted. Okay, so it's only good as words that are written on a sheet of paper, so we will see how long this actually lasts. I can tell you, if they violate this ceasefire, it's going to come down on them like they've never seen before. All right. So then also the president said they are looking for the leaker of the information about the rescue of the Air Force officer, right? Because evidently it was supposed to be close hold, top secret, and no one knew that there was a second airman, the United States Air Force colonel, was still missing, right? And someone leaked it to the world. All right. So an investigation is underway to determine who leaked to the press that one of 2 American airmen was still missing after their fighter jet was shot down in Iran on Good Friday. During a Monday morning press conference centered on the successful rescue mission, President Trump said his administration is working very hard to determine who the leaker is, which he said put the missing pilot at greater risk. We think we're able to find out because we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. When they did that, all of a sudden the entire country of Iran knew that there was a pilot that was somewhere on their land that was fighting for his life, and it made it much more difficult for the pilots and for the people going in to search for them. It said the Military Times attributed an X post by Israel's N12 news reporter Amit Segal as the first to break the one that one of the crew members was successfully rescued. But another Israel N12 news reporter, Barak Ravid, wrote an article for Axios, that was published hours before Segal's X post, which shared that one pilot was rescued and another was still missing. Ravid cited his sources as an Israeli official and a second source with knowledge. Okay, so we will soon see what comes about that. That's going to be a really hard one to really go after, but because we shared so much intel with Israelis, so you're looking at U.S. government sources, and Bibi is going to have to look at sources within the Israeli military and find out who leaked that both pilots were not rescued at the same time. So we'll see about that one. All right. So on a little bit of good political news, as we are getting toward time here. Last night was an election in Georgia's 14th congressional district. That was the one that was held by Marjorie Taylor Greene, that she resigned on January 5th of this year so she can receive her congressional retirement, and continuously bashes President Trump over and over and over again. Last night, she said that he needs to be removed from power. She won't relent. She's been replaced because Clay Fuller, who was endorsed by President Trump a few weeks ago, won the congressional race for that seat. He won with a 55 to 44 percentage on the as the final result. All right. Republican congressional candidate Clay Fuller just gave Speaker Mike Johnson a little bit of breathing room as the GOP clings to a razor-thin majority in Congress. Fuller, who was backed by President Trump on Tuesday, defeated Democrat Sean Harris in a special election to fill the empty U.S. House seat in Georgia's solidly red 14th congressional district. The seat was left vacant when MAGA firebrand Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene stepped down at the beginning of January. Greene quit Congress with 1 year left after a bitter falling out with Trump, and my part is wanting to receive a $900 a month paycheck for the rest of her life. The special election came as Republicans cling to a 218-214 majority in the House. So now it's going to be 218 to 214, right? The GOP was under the gun to make sure Democrats don't pull up another upset in the special election in a district in northwest Georgia that Trump carried by 37-point margin. So this guy has more to do to overcome that, because he won by 11 points instead of 37 points. So we are the guy that Fuller beat. I am a Democrat, but I'm not tied to the party. Yeah, you are. Man, my opponent Clay cannot say that. He actually sold his soul to President Trump. I didn't. Yeah, that doesn't happen like that. Okay. Right. He can't. If he loses really bad, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She got her feelings hurt. She quit. She quit one day after so she could get a solid payday. Go figure, right? And now, what do we got? 6:53. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this one first. So in Canada, there's a bill rolling around through Parliament that cleared the part of their Parliament. They want to make it illegal. They want to make it hate speech for people quoting Bible verses in public. All right. A Canadian hate speech bill. This is why I live in the United States. This is why we have the First Amendment to our Constitution, because of stupid, like, you're killing me, Richard. I'm not, for the guys online right now that are going to watch this later, I'm not going to repeat what he just wrote on the chat. You're lucky the chat is temporary, man, and it goes away after. Hey, as we're venturing, we got 5 minutes until this news conference. If anybody else wants to chime in or willing or want me to broadcast the newscast on here, Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. Someone just wrote, "It is beautiful time to be alive." Okay, yeah, it is. It is. Everything to be able to serve Christ. this guy is a Christian, it looks like. Well, he's saying that Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. I don't believe that, not one bit. But it is a good time to be alive. All right. But this guy, this deal, this Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act, introduced by Canadian Liberal Justice Minister Sean Fraser, passed the House of Commons on March 25th and now heads to the Senate. The measure would expand Canada's hate speech laws, create a new hate crime offense, and add penalties for intimidating or blocking people from accessing houses of worship, cultural spaces, schools, senior residences, and cemeteries. The sharpest criticism of the bill focuses on the repeal of a long-standing defense of religious speech in some of criminal hate speech cases. So Christian and Muslim groups say the change would chill sermons, religious debate, and other faith-based expressions, while the liberal government and some Jewish advocacy groups say the bill is aimed at combating anti-Semitism, not criminalizing religion. Yeah, okay. Y'all need to take a look and see it at Bill C-9. That'd be Charlie 9. All right. If this went into effect in the United States, I have a podcast I do. It's called Now for the Good News, where I read. It's on Rumble. Now for the Good News. Um, that I that I read a chapter a day out of the Bible, and I guarantee you, I would be in trouble if this bill ever became law and I lived in Canada, right? So, yeah, yeah. This is why people live in the United States. We cry and complain a lot about some of the stuff that's done here. We got countries like Australia and Canada. They used to be really cool, and they do that stuff now, and including this one right here, right? uh, where Australian authorities have arrested and charged the country's most decorated living soldier, Ben Roberts-Smith, with 5 war crime murders allegedly committed during the war in Afghanistan. Roberts-Smith is a former member of the Australian Defence Force and was arrested at Sydney Airport on Tuesday. His arrest had a sparked outcry from former Australian Prime Minister, who argued it's unfair to judge the actions of men in mortal combat when the standards of with standards of ordinary life. Um, and then Elon Musk also weighed in, calling it insane. So what it was is the Australian Federal Police and the Office of Special Investigators said Roberts is being charged in connection with killing 5 unarmed Afghans in 3 separate incidents between 2009 and 2012. AFP Commissioner Chrissy Baird alleges that Roberts-Smith either killed unarmed Afghans himself or instructed a subordinate to kill them. If convicted, Smith faces life imprisonment for each charge. It will be alleged that the victims were not taking part in the hostilities at the time of their alleged murder in Afghanistan. Barrett said during a press conference, it is being alleged that the victims were detained, unarmed, and were under the control of ADF members when they were killed. There's more to than this, but we'll get to this later on. This is ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. So, since the vote is 2-0 through the live chat right now, I'm going to switch this over. Okay, give me a second here. Maybe. There we go. We'll give it a second. All right. because it's now 7 o'clock. And I'll switch the volume on in just a second. All right. Now remember, the JPA report goes on at noon. Okay, noon Eastern. All right. Let's see here. There's a couple second delay here. There we go.
A moment now, the Pentagon will provide update on Operation Epic Fury as President Trump sets new red lines after announcing a 2-week ceasefire with Iran. And the president posting just moments ago, quote, the United States will work closely with Iran, which we have determined has gone through what will be a very productive regime change. There will be no enrichment of uranium. And the United States will, working with Iran, dig up and remove all of the deeply buried nuclear dust.
I want to see that.
That's interesting. Okay, because they put in there they wanted to continue to enrich.
Yeah.
The president also issuing this morning, a country supplying military weapons to Iran will be immediately tariffed on any and all goods sold to the United States of America. 50% effective immediately. There will be no exclusions or exemptions.
Meanwhile, it will be a very busy day in Washington. This hour, Naval Secretary General Mark Rutte
Okay,
will assist
so
with President Trump.
hey Richard, if I know you're on here. How's the volume?
Followed by a press briefing with Caroline Levitt. Let's get right to Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yates with the latest in Tel Aviv. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, Lawrence, good morning. A major announcement by President Trump. There will be no uranium enrichment in Iran, and he goes on to say that the United States will work with Iran to dig up and remove what the president calls nuclear dust, that enriched uranium that was buried deep underground after the B-2 bomber strikes during Operation Midnight Hammer last summer.
I want to see all this go through.
Relief is being discussed with the Iranian regime. This comes as we can report that 2 vessels have now passed through the Strait of Hormuz, the first ships to use this thoroughfare since the ceasefire went into effect. This really was an 11th-hour agreement. The president and his team get.
Okay, they were supposed to start this at 7 o'clock.
Hostilities across the region for at least 2 weeks. We are learning more about what is taking place across the Middle East. There are a number of ceasefire violations reported, not just by Israel, but also Gulf countries, including the UAE and Kuwait. We're also getting more details on that 10-point proposal that was presented by the Iranians. We're going to pull up the graphic for you here, and you can see a number of these points that the president says have already been conceded by the Iranians, having to do with the fundamental commitment to guaranteeing a non-aggression pact with the regime, and additionally, Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz, accepting that Iran can enrich uranium. It appears that point is now void following the president's post on Truth Social.
Well, maybe something will definitely happen.
Down a little bit further on the list is a broader ceasefire, including Israel's conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon. But we can report right now that the Israelis have just launched a series of airstrikes across Beirut. The IDF is describing this as the largest attack against Hezbollah since this operation began. Overnight, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu agreeing with President Trump in a post on X, saying Israel also supports the U.S. effort to ensure that Iran no longer poses a nuclear missile and terror threat to America, Israel, Iran's Arab neighbors, and the world. The 2-week ceasefire does not include Lebanon. That, according to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I do want to show you some video here from the Iranian capital of Tehran, where pro-government demonstrators gathered, chanting death to America and death to Israel earlier today. They burned American flags and chanted victory. You can see the group of people here early this morning in the Iranian capital of Tehran. But again, guys, the latest information that we have, a variety of different military action across the region as this delicate ceasefire holds. Guys?
All right, thanks, Trey.
All right, let's go now to the Pentagon.
Here we go.
Operation Epic Fury.
Iran has been a threat to the United States and the free world for 47 years. Chants of death to America, targeting our people, killing Americans, lying and blackmailing their way toward a nuclear weapon, so they thought. No longer. Not on our watch. Other presidents marked time and kicked the can down the road. President Trump made history. From the strike that took out Qasem Soleimani, to tearing up the disastrous Obama-Iran deal, to the precision campaign that obliterated Iran's nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, to the decisive military victory we just achieved in Operation Epic Fury. No other president has shown the courage and resolve of this commander-in-chief. President Trump forged this moment. Iran begged for this ceasefire, and we all know it. As the President Truth this morning, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory. By any measure, Epic Fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come. You see, in less than 40 days, one of our combatant commands, Central Command, CENTCOM, using less than 10% of America's total combat power, dismantled one of the world's largest militaries. The world's leading state sponsor of terrorism proved utterly incapable of defending itself, its people, or its territory. We untied just a fraction of our strength, and Iran suffered a devastating military defeat. Together with our Israeli partners, America's military achieved every single objective, on plan, on schedule, exactly as laid out from day one. Iran's Navy is at the bottom of the sea, whether it's the Soleimani class, their frigate class, their prized drone aircraft carriers, submarines, mine layers, sunk. Iran's Air Force has been wiped out. Iran no longer has an air defense, any sort of a comprehensive air defense system. We own their skies. Their missile program is functionally destroyed. Launchers, production facilities, and existing stockpiles depleted and decimated. And almost completely ineffective, Iran shot hundreds and hundreds of missiles and one-way attack drones at our aircraft carrier. They were obsessed with it, and they never got even close. Every single one of those shots easily shot down miles and miles away from the Abe Lincoln. They were blowing ammo into Fantasyland. Contrast that with, most significantly, in last night's wave of more than 800 strikes, we finished completely destroying Iran's defense industrial base, a core pillar of our mission objective. What little they have left buried in bunkers is all they will have. They can still shoot, we know that. Their command and control is so decimated they can't really talk and coordinate, so they still may shoot here and there, but that would be very, very unwise. But they can no longer build missiles, build rockets, build launchers, or build UAVs. Their factories have been razed to the ground, set back in historic fashion. You see, had Iran refused our terms, the next targets would have been their power plants, their bridges, and oil and energy infrastructure. Targets they could not defend and could not realistically rebuild. It would have taken them decades, and we were locked and loaded. They couldn't defend against it. President Trump had the power to cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes. But he chose mercy. He spared those targets because Iran accepted the ceasefire under overwhelming pressure. The new Iranian regime understood that a deal was far better than the fate that awaited them. This new regime just happened to look at what happened to their predecessors. Their top leadership was systematically eliminated. The previous Iranian supreme leader, dead. The Supreme National Security Council Secretary, dead. The Supreme Leader Office Advisor, dead. The Supreme Leader Military Office Chief, dead. The Defense Minister, no longer with us. The IRGC Commander, dead. The Armed Forces General Staff Commander, dead. The Intelligence Minister, dead. The IRGC Navy Commander, no longer here. The IRGC
They're
Intelligence.
searching for their 72 virgins.
I skipped over a bunch, and I could go on and on and on, to include the new, so-called new Supreme Leader wounded and disfigured. This new regime was out of options and out of time, so they cut a deal. They know this agreement means that they will never, ever possess a nuclear weapon. Under the terms, any nuclear material they should have will be removed. Any material, they should not have will be removed. Right now, their dust is deeply buried and watched 24/7 overhead. The president has been clear from the beginning there will be no Iranian nuclear weapons. Period. Full stop. Other presidents said it. President Trump did it. Operation Epic Fury. Less than 6 weeks, clear mission, decisive action, overwhelming firepower, America first, a historic battlefield victory. For decades, Iran killed Americans with roadside bombs in Iraq, using cowardly proxies to do their dirty work while they hid safely in Tehran. They struck our embassies with car bombs and attacked from the shadows, never daring to face us toe-to-toe. They thought they could bleed America with impunity. Well, they just learned the hard way what happens when you try to fight us directly. And even when they got lucky, one time in 40 days, and down 2 of our pilots, they couldn't hold them. In a daring 14-hour rescue operation, 7 hours in daylight and 7 hours of night, both pilots were recovered safely. Not once, but twice. A daylight thunder run right up the middle of their country. Boots on the ground. A midnight raid right up the middle of their country. Boots on the ground. 0 American casualties. The Iranians humiliated and demoralized. We control their fate, not the other way around. That's why they came to the table. Iran's defeat is America's retribution for every American lost to Iranian terror, especially those brave troops killed by Iranian-made roadside bombs in Iraq that my generation knows so well.
Unfortunately.
And for the suffering their regime has inflicted around the world. Now we have a chance at real peace and a real deal. The War Department, for now, has done its part. We stand ready in the background to ensure Iran upholds every reasonable term. And as everyone knows, nobody makes a better deal than President Trump. To the warriors of Epic Fury, I say well done. You're the backbone of our country. Your skill, your bravery, and sheer guts and grit showed the world what America is all about. I'm proud of you. We're proud of you. President is proud of you. Job well done. But stay vigilant and stay ready. To the families of our fallen, your sacrifice was in service of a historic cause, and we will always remember your heroes, our heroes. We will continue to honor them. And to our Israeli allies, thank you for being a brave, capable, and willing ally on this battlefield. The rest of the world and the rest of our so-called allies saw what real capabilities look like. They should take some notes. Our troops, our American warriors, deserve the credit for this day. But God deserves all the glory. Tens of thousands of sorties, refuelings, and strikes carried out under the protection of divine providence. A massive effort with miraculous protection. Dude 44 Bravo spoke for all of us. God is good. The chairman will now provide an even deeper military detail on the historic success of Operation Epic Fury. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here. I want to start this morning by honoring the 13 members of our American Joint Force who were killed in action thus far during this operation. Their sacrifice and that of their families is deeply important to us, and we are grateful. We are grateful for each of them, and will continue to mourn their loss. Their names and their bravery will never be forgotten. On February 28th, the President of the United States ordered the Joint Force to execute Operation Epic Fury with the direction to accomplish 3 distinct military objectives: destroy Iran's ballistic missile and drone capabilities, destroy the Iranian Navy, and destroy their defense industrial base to ensure that Iran cannot reconstitute the ability to project power outside their borders. Over the course of 38 days of major combat operation, the joint force achieved the military objectives as defined by the president. We welcome the ongoing ceasefire, and as the Secretary said, we hope that Iran chooses a lasting peace. But as Secretary Hegseth said, let us be clear, a ceasefire is a pause, and the joint force remains ready if ordered or called upon to resume combat operations with the same speed and precision as we've demonstrated over the last 38 days, and we hope that that is not the case. I want to congratulate and thank the leadership today at U.S. Central Command, including the Commander Admiral Brad Cooper, the Deputy Commander Lieutenant General Kevin Leahy, the Senior Enlisted Leader Fleet Master Chief Compton, and every one of the component commanders, senior enlisted leaders, and especially the staff down at U.S. Central Command, who does not get called out for any of the credit, but grinds 24/7 to help offer the options that we bring to the Secretary and the President. I also want to highlight the forces in the United States European Command under the command of Alexis Grinkowicz, who protected the western flank in support of CENTCOM. And I want to thank our partners across the intelligence community. Our ability to see and understand what an adversary is doing help us to be as decisive as we must be on the battlefield. And that includes DIA, NSA, NGA, the CIA, and the National Reconnaissance Office, and others. I want to thank the other combat commands who have thus far contributed along the way to U.S. Central Command. This includes Transcom, Stratcom, Spacecom, SOCOM, and Cybercom, all of whom poured all in support of CENTCOM's efforts. And I want to thank, as the Secretary did, our Gulf partners who fought alongside each and every one of us every day. From the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan, all who joined us together to defend and protect our people and our assets, and who, if required, stand ready to do so again. And I want to thank my team at the Joint Staff, who work literally around the clock in order to help me offer the options that I must with the associated risks to the Secretary and to the President. They are the hardest working people that I know, and I am deeply grateful for their service. Most importantly today, I want to thank America's members of the Joint Force who've poured everything that they can into Operation Epic Fury, and their families who've worked 24 hours a day for 38 days. The Secretary and I could not be more proud of each and every one of you. And we deeply appreciate the support of the American people, who we know always have us in our thoughts and prayers. And we can feel this literally every single day. As the Secretary said, the United States has devastated the regime's ability to harm Americans and our interests for years to come. Since the beginning of major combat operations, the United States Joint Force has struck more than 13,000 targets, including in that 13,000, more than 4,000 dynamic targets that popped up on the battlefield and were immediately addressed, thanks to the exceptional command and control system and intelligence, acumen, and agility of our Joint Force. CENTCOM forces destroyed approximately 80% of Iran's air defense systems, striking more than 1,500 air defense targets, more than 450 ballistic missile storage facilities, 800 one-way attack drones storage facilities. All of these systems are gone. We've devastated Iran's command and control and logistical networks, destroying more than 2,000 command and control nodes and degrading their ability to target U.S. and friendly forces. It is, and we know this, incredibly frustrating right now to be a lower level Iranian commander trying to fight your fight. As the Secretary said, the Iranian Navy now lies mostly at the bottom of the Arabian Gulf, and we assess that we've sunk more than 90% of their regular fleet, including all
we
the
call
major
it the
surface
Arabian
combatants,
Gulf.
as the Secretary said. 150 ships are at the bottom of the ocean, and half of the IRGC Navy's small attack boats. Joint Fires projected from the land, sea, and air executed more than 700 strikes against naval mine targets, and we assessed that we destroyed more than 95% of their naval mines. And perhaps most importantly, we've destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, their ability to reconstitute those capabilities for years to come. We attacked, along with our partners, approximately 90% of their weapons factories. Every factory that produced Shahed one-way attack drones was struck. Every factory that produces the guidance systems that go into those drones was struck. Their missile defense industrial base is shattered, with more than 80% of their missile facilities gone, as well as their solid rocket motor production capability. It will take years for Iran to rebuild any major surface combatants, as more than 20 naval production and fabrication facilities have been damaged or destroyed. And nearly 80% of Iran's nuclear industrial base was hit, further degrading their attempts to attain a nuclear weapon. Throughout Operation Epic Fury, our joint force struck at the heart of Iran's ability to project power and threaten the United States and the region. And in order to do this, it required the service and sacrifice of more than 50,000 American warfighters deployed across CENTCOM, EUCOM, and stateside. The joint force flew more than 10,000 missions, including 62 bomber missions, 18 of which flew round trip from the United States to deliver bombs on military targets. Each of these missions was more than 30 hours in duration, and we did that 18 times. No other military in the world can do that. And it's a testament to the logistical force that quietly serves behind them. I cannot thank TRANSCOM and the Air Force Tanker and Mobility Force more. Combined with Army and Navy joint fires, we struck more than 13,000 targets. And along with our Gulf partners, we've thus far intercepted 1,700 ballistic missiles and one-way attack drones, defending our forces and our partners in the civilian population. And we remain ready to do so should the need arise. Along the way, we consumed more than 6 million meals, and by my estimate, more than 950,000 gallons of coffee, 2 million energy drinks, and a lot of nicotine, but I'm not saying that we have a problem. I've laid out the statistics, but it does not truly capture the nature of combat. This is gritty and unforgiving business. It's chaotic, it's hot, it's dark, it's unpredictable, and there's always unknowns. And our people proudly walked into those unknowns and continue forward. And through it all, the joint force has demonstrated the unwavering resolve that the nation demands of us. We are a mission-focused force, and our objective always is to create the conditions for peace, and today we have, while be ready should that peace break, which we hope it is not. And we remain ready. Before I turn it back to the Secretary, I also want to quickly revisit the rescue of the Air Force fighter crew over the weekend. To give you an update, we've had, the Secretary and I have had the profound honor of speaking directly with many of the warfighters on that mission. From the downed crew that were picked up to those forces that went and got them. Hearing these stories firsthand has only deepened our appreciation for their tenacity, creativity, courage, and grit of the American Joint Force. This is a story that gets to the very heart and soul of who we are as a joint force, who we are as Americans. Selfless sacrifice in service of others. From the backseater, Dude 44 Bravo, whose pure and unadulterated joy at seeing those helicopters come into the valley to get his front seater in daylight because he knew the front seater did not have a jacket and was so filled with heart-leaping joy at his front seater getting picked up. To the nighttime folks that went in and then got him, to the tanker forces that did the things that they had to do to give their own gas away, to the support packages, to those that went into the desert landing site not once, not twice, but 3 times as we fought through multiple contingencies. This was and is a joint force that has the guts to try, that does not quit, and who each and every day does the things that we must to dare to win. No lives were lost. We succeeded because the joint force is always at the ready. They trust each other, they trust their leaders, and they trust their training. And they remember first, foremost, and always that we do these things so that others may live, and we will never leave anyone behind. The success of Operation Fury thus far, and we hope it remains, culminates with this incredible rescue over the weekend, a direct example of the professionalism and courage of the United States military and our joint force. It's the service members on the front lines, our partners in the region, our teammates in the intelligence community, our civilian leaders in the OSW side of the house, the American workers who build the tools and weapons that we use, and the American people who back us up that help us to go do these things. I stand here humbled today, but frankly not surprised by what the Joint Force has been able to do. Their performance is fueled by a deep commitment to each other, their mission, and to our country. It is an incredible, deep honor for me to be a part of this Joint Force, and I'm humbled by the service and sacrifice each and every day that I am lucky enough to see. And finally, as I always do, I ask that we never forget our fallen and their families, especially those 13 fallen from Operation Epic Fury. May we always be worthy of their sacrifice and honor their legacy. And with that, sir, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So we'll leave it there, okay?
Alexander Ingersoll.
And there we go. All right. Hey, thanks for letting me do that for y'all for a little bit. Thank y'all for tuning in this morning to the morning brief, even though it wasn't really that brief because we put a half hour of this on there for you. So I will see y'all in a few hours on the regular JP8 report. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.